You so much, Isabel. And thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing this night during this exciting time in your life. Congratulations if you haven't had your baby yet, or if you just recently had it. Welcome and congratulations. You're embarking on a beautiful journey. As Isabel said, this is me, and those are my two grandbabies that are so much fun. They are wonderful. Okay, so some of the things that we want to go over today, we want to help you transition to actually bringing your baby home if you haven't yet. And some of those things that we do want to discuss are setting up a safe sleep space for your baby, talk about some car seat safety, because you'll really want to have a car seat ready before you bring your baby home. That's one of the most important things. You have to have that before the baby comes, and some essential items you may need. Then we'll talk a little bit about some of the first days at home. They're kind of crazy, happy days. Those initial days at home with your newborn. It's a whirlwind. It's a lot. It's fun, and it's a lot. And we'll also review some of the things you'll watch out for, and when to call your pediatrician. We'll go a little bit into feeding your baby. We will talk about some of the things that concerns regarding breastfeeding. We'll talk a little bit about formula feeding. We'll talk about how to recognize when your baby's hungry, which seems pretty basic, but we'll go over that so you have an understanding. We're going to talk about caring for yourself because it's not only all about the baby, it's about parents as well. It's about your need to take care of you, how to recover, and we want to talk about mental health support for both parents, that there is so much support out there. It's a crazy time in your life, and it's important that you're aware of all the help that is available to you. Then we're going to talk about different ways within the community that you can find connection, just as Isabel said, with Thrive, which is a beautiful organization. And it's going to be a wonderful thing for you to find that you can meet with other moms and dads and other parents to discuss and enjoy different time together. Okay? So let's start with creating a safe space for your baby to sleep. This is so important. The ABCs of safe sleep. Maybe you've heard of this already. Back in the 1990s, the American Academy of Pediatrics came out with their landmark recommendation of back to sleep. I don't know about everybody I'm speaking to. Possibly if you were born before that, you were not put to sleep on your backs, you were put to sleep on your bellies. But since the American Academy of Pediatrics came out with that recommendation, that babies should sleep on their backs, they cut the sudden infant death rate in half, right? 50% by just having the baby sleep on their backs. So the things you want to remember is every baby should sleep alone, on their back, and in either a crib or bassinet or something that meets current safety standards. If you're not sure if your crib does meet safety standards, you can go onto the Consumer Reports website to see. Usually, if a crib is older than 2011, it's not going to meet safety standards. So if you have a crib that is that old or has a drop side, absolutely not. You do not want to use a crib that is going to be dangerous or old for your baby. Some of the other things about safe sleep, we're going to watch a little video. Okay?
Whether you're still waiting for your baby to arrive or your baby is now here, you've likely given a lot of thought to how you'll put your baby to sleep. It's important that babies get the sleep they need, but it's even more important that they do so safely. Every year, thousands of babies die nationwide from sleep-related deaths that could have been prevented. There are simple steps you can take to keep your baby safe during sleep. Do not let them sleep in your bed or on the couch. Do not sleep with your baby. Do not fall asleep when holding your baby. Set a timer when breastfeeding if you think you might doze off. Babies should always sleep alone on their back in a crib, bassinet, or pack and play. They should sleep on a flat, firm mattress with a tight-fitted sheet. Keep blankets, crib bumpers, pillows, and toys out of your baby's sleep area. There should be nothing around them. You can keep your baby cozy and warm by using fitted pajamas or a sleep sack, no blankets. Make sure your baby is in a smoke-free environment. Keep smoke of all kinds away from your baby. This includes all types of cigarettes, vape smoke, incense, and candles. You can keep your baby's sleep area in the same room where you sleep until your baby is at least 6 months old. By following these guidelines, you can keep your baby comfortable and safe while sleeping.
Okay, so just to review some of the things that they did go over. First of all, you don't want to make the room too warm. The optimal temperature really for a baby to sleep is 68 to 72 degrees. You want to keep it a little bit on the cooler side. You're not going to overdress your baby. The most important thing is that you want to dress them one layer warmer than you would dress. So typically it's a little onesie, a sleeper, and then maybe a sleep sack, especially in the winter. Nothing should cover the baby's head. Nothing in the crib. It looks kind of like that, like an orphanage. Nothing in there. Flat, hard surface. Don't add anything to the crib that it didn't come with. You want the mattress that it came with. Nothing else needs to be in there. Sudden infant death or sudden unexplained infant death is rare. It is rare, but you want to make sure that you're using every precaution you can not to fall in the statistic. Some of the things that have been shown to be protective against SIDS, breastfeeding is protective against SIDS, as is offering your baby a pacifier when they go to sleep at night or down for a nap, absolutely has been shown to be protective against SIDS. So these are some of the things that are important. Usually the highest risk of SIDS is from birth to 4 months. And it is recommended that baby sleeps in the same room with you for the first at least 6 months so that you can feed them and put them right back into their crib. And that has also been shown to be effective. Okay. The other important thing I did want to bring up, we mentioned about how grandparents, sometimes they will suggest, or an older relative, that, oh, but babies sleep better on their backs. So it's important that you advocate and kind of educate older people who may not be aware of the latest recommendations. So a little video here.
Now look what I just got.
Pretty fancy, Mom. Want me to show you how to use it?
Are you kidding? I got this thing all figured out. I even have your baby pictures on here already. Look how cute you were here sleeping with the blanket and Anime.
You know, today we don't put blankets in the crib no matter how cute they are. And we have to lay the baby down to sleep on their back every time. You've heard of SIDS, right?
Oh yes, that's when a baby dies unexpectedly during sleep and doctors can't find an explanation.
Right. Sudden infant death syndrome. At our birthing classes, we learned there are a lot of different things we need to do to reduce the risk of SIDS and other sleep-related causes of infant death, such as accidental suffocation.
Besides the baby, a fitted sheet in a safety-approved crib is the only thing you need.
You sure are developing a mother's instinct, honey. My new granddaughter is going to grow up to be an amazing woman just like her mother.
For more information, please visit the Safe to Sleep website.
That's a great website also, if you want additional information.
Now look what I just got.
Sorry. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is car seat safety. So one of the things you want to make sure you have before you give birth is a car seat, and you want to make sure that you have it already installed in your car. And the important thing is the base of it needs to be installed, and you want to have it checked and inspected. So typically your car seat should go in the back seat in a rear facing position. It always goes in the back seat, rear facing. It should never move more than an inch side to side. You always want to hold on to the car seat's instruction manual, and you want to have the base installed by somebody who is a licensed installation technician. I'm going to show you how you're going to buckle your baby into the car seat because you need the bucket. You're going to need the car seat place that the baby sits. You're going to bring that up into your hospital room because the baby's going to go home in that when you leave. You must have something for the baby to go into when they leave the hospital. It's a good idea that you know how to take that carrier out of the base. You want to read so that you're not struggling the day that the baby's born, figuring out how to bring the baby, how to bring the little part up into the room. And if you're going to be delivering soon where it's cold, absolutely you want to bring that carrier piece up at least a day before so it warms up. You don't want to put the baby into a freezing cold car seat when you take it home, when you take your baby home. This demonstration is by a woman. She's the car seat lady. You can find her online, thecarseatlady.com. She's actually a registered nurse, and her daughter is a pediatrician, and they work together to always make sure that that car seat safety is at its best. It's a great resource if you're not sure about, if you have questions about car seat or when to move your baby, this is a great resource to find. So we're going to watch her. She's going to show us how to buckle the baby into a car seat. Okay?
Take those little thighs and switch them to the back. Then, like a vest, we're going to put the straps on. They go over his shoulders and over his hips, between his legs. The same thing here. Over his shoulders, over his hips, between his legs. Make sure it's over the hips like this. Then buckle the chest clip. Then come from behind. Take hold of the shoulder straps and pull up. Keep the chest clip down, slide it low. Then pull the slack here. And then repeat. Pull up at the shoulders, up at the tail. Up at the shoulders. Keep his little shirt pulled up in between the strap and his neck. That will keep him comfortable. And here, and continue up at the shoulders, up at the tail, till you find that with the clip low, there's no more slack that pulls up. One finger fits at the collarbone, that means it's not too tight. And if two fingers could fit underneath at the collarbone, which they can't like that, that'd be too loose. Another way of saying too loose is you can pinch the strap over on itself at the collarbone, which I can't do. Always check with the chest clip low, then move it up to the top of the armpits when you're done. When you take your baby out, you want to loosen the straps. There will be a tab to either push down or lift up one near the tail. Make sure you don't hold on to the tail in any way. And then use your other hand and pull the shoulder strap forward.
Okay.
Take those little.
I just want to go over some of the things that she said that are important. Just remember, you do not move the clip upward until the straps are really tight. So you're going to put the baby in, their little bottom goes right in that little crook of the car seat. Straps need to come from behind the shoulders. They should start right at the behind the shoulder, and you're going to continue to pull that bottom piece until you can't pinch more than very little at the top. It shouldn't fold over. Once it is tight enough, you're going to move that shoulder strap up all the way up to the top. Your baby really needs to be strapped in like they're jumping out of an airplane. It's very, very tight. They may not love it. The important thing is that they're in nice and tight. The other thing that she did, there is nothing that interferes with the straps and the baby. Nothing behind the baby that's in between. You saw that after she strapped the baby in, that's when she put the blanket over. So you strap the baby in, you can put a blanket over them. If they fuss, you can that's when she was gently tapping on the chest to show them. You want to make sure the straps do not twist, that they lay flat, and that you have that clip there with a blanket over. They used to sell a product that went behind the baby. We don't use that anymore. Never anything behind the baby and between the baby and the car seat. If you actually use something like that or add anything to the car seat that it didn't come with, the car seat company is no longer liable should, God forbid, something happen. So you definitely want to only use what the car seat came with. Now, in order to get the car seat inspected, highly recommended that you do this. This is the state police offer every Thursday, and the second and fourth Saturday of each month. They offer in Totowa at their headquarters, where they'll come and check your car seat. And it really is an extensive process to become a car seat technician. They actually have to go to a class for it's like over a week full time to learn how to do this. And when you see what they do, you will definitely respect it, and you'll be happy that you did. So I highly recommend that you do that, or you can go to the Paramus Life Safety Complex on Century Road. Okay. If neither of those work, you can also check your local town. Sometimes they also will have a car seat safety inspection. Okay. That's car seat safety. Now, before your baby comes, you definitely want to stock up on some important essentials. So, babies go through a lot of diapers at the beginning. You can expect to change them between 8 and 12 times a day. Typically, your baby will fit in either when they're born, either in a newborn diaper or a size 1, depending on how big they are. If you haven't had your baby yet, you may not know the size they're going to be. So I wouldn't recommend you opening every pack of newborn diapers that you get. Do not open them all. Wait and see how big your baby is, because you may not need that many. Typically, 8.5 pounds is when they go into the size 1 diaper. So it's a good idea to have both diapers ready when you come home, because you will be doing lots of changes. You want to have also some diaper ointments or creams. Either an ointment is clear, like vitamin A and D ointment is a good idea to have that available, or something that would have the white ointments. Those are something with zinc oxide, like Bomex or Decidin. Clear ointments help protect your baby. Anything that has a white in it is actually a healing. So if your baby looks like they're starting to get a little bit red, and we'll get into that in a little bit, then you're going to go with a white ointment. You want to make sure that you have enough onesies, sleepers, a hat or two. They don't need to sleep in a hat when they're in their crib inside, but for when you take them out. And kind of don't invest in a ton of little ones, because they grow really fast. And then feeding supplies. If you are hoping to breastfeed, make sure you have either a nursing pillow or a bra, a good bra to breastfeed. If you're not planning on breastfeeding and you are intending to formula feed, it's a good idea to invest in some bottles, not a million of one kind, because you want to make sure you find out what kind your baby likes before you invest in a whole bunch of them. In those early days at home, it's very common for babies to feed all the time. Babies have teeny weeny bellies, and I'll show you that in the next screen. They can't hold very much, so you're feeding them very often small amounts. The belly does kind of grow in those first few days and first couple weeks, but in the beginning, they do absolutely seem to be feeding very frequently. And it's very important that you feed them every 2 to 3 hours around the clock. They need to eat in the middle of the night too. If you are hoping to breastfeed, it's very important that you are breastfeeding in the middle of the night, because that's when your body's kind of making all that milk and your baby's putting in their order. And that's when you want to make sure that you're putting the baby to breast if you want to. If you are formula feeding, they will still need to wake up in the middle of the night to feed. As I said a little bit ago, you can plan on changing your baby 8 to 12 times a day. That's an awful lot. You will get very good at it. At the beginning, it may seem hard, but you will become very, very proficient at changing your baby's diaper. Babies do have erratic sleep patterns. They don't always sleep for a long period of time. At the beginning, it's not unusual that they sleep and then they wake up and then they're hungry again. They sleep for short periods of time. Also, if you are still expecting, you may notice during the day when you're up and around, if you're the birth mother, if you're up and around and you're walking, your baby's sleeping. And the second you go and lay down at night, that baby wakes up. Well, guess what? That's the same baby that comes to the hospital. So very often it's up at night, and you're going to work on kind of teaching the baby to set their internal clock. It takes a little bit, but if you feed them more during the day, let them hear all the sounds of the day, let them be around all the activities, and put them to sleep at night, you will turn that around. Okay? Diapers, I'm going to go over this again. I didn't realize I had this in here. I'm sorry. They will need to be changed 8 to 10 times. So here you can see again, newborns 5 to 10, not really. It's more like 8 or 9 pounds, depending on your baby. If your baby's over 8 pounds, then they may go right into size 1s, depending on how big your baby is. You want to make sure you have lots of unscented wipes at home. That means any kind of wipes that don't have perfume or alcohol in them or dyes. It's good to have them. And the ointments and creams, like I mentioned. I also think it's a great idea to set up a changing station on floor, so you're not running up and down. Even if it's just a little basket that has all the stuff you may need in it to change your baby, so that during the day when you're right there, you can change them on that floor without having to go up and down. But like I said, you will get very good at changing diapers. And while you're at the hospital, if you have any questions, that's what the nurses are for. Don't hesitate. We're there for that. Clothing, it's a good idea. You want to make sure you have enough onesies. They pretty much live in those little onesies. A little bit of wearable blankets. Those sleep sacks are terrific. A little bit of socks. You may want a thin fleece snowsuit, especially if you're going outside in the stroller. In the car seat, you're not going to put them in anything thick or fluffy. You want to keep them, you're going to put them in just that one little one piece. It can be thin, is great, and then cover them afterwards. Okay, a little bit of socks. But really the shirts, the ones that come with the fold over mittens are really good at the beginning. You don't need mittens. You don't want to put mittens on them. They're kind of useless. They can get loose and they can be a hazard. Better off getting the shirts that have the fold over mittens are a much safer choice. All right, cues. At the beginning, babies have different states very early on. They're not really awake. They're not really asleep. Over time, watching, you will get to learn your baby's cues. You'll get to know their behavior, holding them, interacting with them. That's the way you'll get to understand them and learn what their states mean. Newborn babies, this is important. Newborn babies typically weigh, an average baby is about 7.5 pounds. And most newborns in the first few days in the hospital are going to lose weight. No matter how you're feeding them, there's very little you can do to help them not lose weight. They're going to lose. They're peeing, they're pooping, they're burning calories, they're doing all these things they didn't do when they were inside birth mother. Now that they're out, they're definitely going to lose weight. That's totally normal. We keep a very close eye on it at the hospital. We watch to make sure that it's not over a certain amount. We don't want to go really up to 10% while you're at the hospital. We keep a close eye, their weight every day. And then your pediatrician will make sure that they have, that they're back to their birth weight when they're about 10 days old. And these are just general guidelines that they want to see that the baby's growing according to the expectations. Typically, most babies do double their birth weight when they're about 6 months old, and they'll triple it at about a year. A lot of growing in that first year. Okay. Okay, now we're going to talk about feeding. We mentioned it a little bit. So this is about breastfeeding. If breastfeeding is the way you want to go, if you're hoping to breastfeed, I want you to see right here, look how teeny weeny that baby's belly is on day 1, only about the size of a cherry. It can only hold about 5 milliliters or half a teaspoon. So they're going to be feeding pretty frequently because that's all their little belly can hold. By day 3, which is about when you're leaving the hospital, now that baby's belly can hold about the size of a walnut. So it's a little bit more, you're talking almost an ounce. So they can definitely hold a little bit more by that time. At a week old, it goes up to about an ounce and a half. And then by about a month, it tops off at about 3 to 5 ounces. And that's about what it holds off at. So it's very important at the beginning that you are feeding very frequently, that you kind of understand if you feel like, oh, I just fed the baby. Oh, I just feel that baby's putting in their order, telling your body to keep making milk. Kind of remember that an empty breast makes more milk. There is a component that of breastfeeding that if the breast is empty, it will signal your body, prolactin, to make more milk. If there's more milk in there and you don't drain it and the breast is not drained, your body will slow down production. So kind of get an idea of that while you're in the early days, that the more, if you want to breastfeed, the more you can feed, the better you're going to do. We have lactation consultants at Valley Hospital that will come see you. We also have assistance afterwards. We have an outpatient. Typically, it's covered by insurance. Great thing to do where you meet with a lactation consultant and they can help you. They can help you with all those common issues that many, many, many new mothers do have. Yeah, like sore nipples. Sometimes women may feel that the latch isn't exactly right. And if you decide that you do want to breastfeed, I highly recommend you making an appointment. You can even make it if you're delivering at Valley, or even if you're not delivering at Valley, you can make an appointment with a Valley lactation consultant at outpatient, and they spend a lot of time with you. Like 2 hours, almost one-on-one, and they will do a good oral assessment, make sure the latch is okay. They'll weigh the baby, put the baby on the breast and weigh the baby again and give you an idea on how things are going. It's really a terrific thing to take advantage of. Most people are covered by insurance, and I really think you're covered for it. So if you want to breastfeed, utilize all those resources. If you're deciding that perhaps breastfeeding is not for you and you want to formula feed, absolutely, the hospital will provide you with bottles. They will help you go over how to formula feed your baby. It's very, very important that down the road, when you go home, that you have a good understanding on how to prepare formula and how long it's good for. If you're using powdered formula, you always want to, at the beginning, especially if your baby's born a little earlier, when your baby's first home, you want to boil the water before you mix it. You're always going to put the water in the bottle and add the powdered formula to that. Very important. If you have questions before you leave the hospital and you are formula feeding, just please make sure you check with the nurse. You never want to microwave either breast milk or formula because it can create hot spots. You really want to, if you're going to warm it up, you want to warm it in a pan of warm water, so this way it doesn't get too hot. Always test it. You can test it on the inside of your wrist is a good place. It should never be hot. It should be like room temperature or warm. Okay. If you're formula feeding, your baby will be getting typically more than if you're breastfeeding. In addition, they may not have as tight of a latch. They may be swallowing a little more air. So it's very important that you get into the habit of burping your baby, especially if you are formula feeding. Newborn sleep patterns. Okay, so most babies will spend about 14 to 16 hours a day sleeping, not all at once, trust me. They usually will sleep about they will sleep and wake 2 to 4 hours. They will be hungry. You don't want to let them sleep too long during the day. You want to make sure that you are feeding them more during the day, especially right at the beginning. By doing that, you will help them to establish a nighttime routine. Getting used to your newborn sleeping pattern is, of course, one of the hardest adjustments as a parent. Be patient. It won't last forever. The more you can spend time with them during the day, holding them, feeding them, stimulating them, spending time interacting with them, the more they will sleep at night. You have to kind of turn around that inner clock. And it does take about 6 weeks or so to get them to really start having a sleep pattern. Crying. All newborns, especially at the beginning, will cry from 1 to 4 hours a day. Sometimes they're just crying to cry, but typically there are reasons that the baby's crying for. So you can go through this general list of what would make a baby cry. Go through, first of all, the primitive reasons they would cry. Are they hungry? Are they dirty? Do they need a diaper change? Are they hot or are they cold? If you feel hot or cold, wrap them up. If they have too many layers, take one off. They don't need to be overdressed. Sometimes babies want to be picked up and sometimes they want to lay down. So if you're holding the baby and they're crying, you can try soothing them, and you can also try laying them down, swaddling them. Babies love to be swaddled. They're coming from a tight, close place, and they like the idea of being close. And that's a very good way to comfort them. It's very, very important that you respond quickly to your newborn and consistently. During the first months of life, babies are establishing their trust, and they build trust by knowing that when they need somebody, somebody's going to be there for them. Responding consistently to a baby's crying actually helps them to cry less over time. If your baby is crying, pick them up. You cannot spoil a newborn. We are mammals. We like to be held. We like to be close to our mothers. This is what we want. Then the more you can do that, the more you can teach them to feel safe and secure and to build trust, the easier it is later on. Even later on in life, they become more secure teenagers and more secure adults because their needs were met. It's important to stay relaxed, even if your baby is crying. Babies can definitely sense our feelings off of them. And if we can kind of just know babies cry, that's how they communicate, and we stay in that place, it will teach the baby, and it will also help us. Having the understanding that all babies cry, that's how they communicate. If your baby is crying, again, I just want to remind you, respond quickly and consistently. You don't want to let them cry it out. If you're using a white noise machine, those are actually really, really good. They do comfort the baby. The sound actually mimics the sound of the placenta when they were inside, so it provides a lot of comfort, but you got to keep it low or it's going to stress them out. Offering your baby a pacifier absolutely will help to soothe them. If you're breastfeeding, you want to wait till it's established before you do give them a pacifier, but a pacifier definitely provides comfort. Swaddling, like we mentioned earlier, definitely a close place, swaddling, the shushing noise, kind of rocking gently, all those things help your baby. Sucking, help your baby to provide comfort. Um, if at any time you feel like, oh, this is too much and it's becoming too much, this is when you're going to call in your markers. You're going to call, maybe put the baby in a place where you know they are safe, a baby in a crib where they're safe and know they cannot hurt themselves is much safer than if you feel you're going to lose patience, and call for help if you need it. If you need to put them in the crib for 15 minutes and give yourself a timeout, absolutely fine. Even if you need to, you know they're safe and you need to take a quick shower, they seem to stop crying when you're in the shower. You can't hear them. It definitely is something you can do. Okay, so some signs that you're going to look for. You want to feed your baby, whether you're breastfeeding or formula feeding. You definitely want to feed them before they are crying. When they start to cry, that is a very late feeding cue. So sometimes you just see them, they're moving their head back and forth, or they're putting their hand up to their mouth and, licking their lips. If they start to do that, you want to get them up and undressed. You want to get them skin to skin if you can, and you want to either formula feed or breastfeed them. You want to offer them a breast. If they're crying, you need to soothe them first before you can feed them. So the earlier you can feed your baby, the better. If you wait till the baby's crying, now you need to calm them down. And especially during the day. So you don't want to have your baby all swaddled and tight and closed in place during the day because you want to look for those early feeding cues. You want to look for them maybe putting their hand to their mouth. If they're swaddled and their hands are on their side, you're going to miss it. And they don't try very hard. They try a little bit, then they fall asleep. You don't want to miss a feeding cue. They look like they're hungry, you're going to feed them, especially during the day. So you can save that long stretch of sleep, that swaddle time for at night. Okay? During the day, you want to feed them as often as you can. Don't let them go more than 3 hours during the day without getting them up, changing their diaper, and offering them a feed, whether it's by breast or by formula. And you want to listen to your baby's feeding cues. You're going to feed by the baby, not by the clock. So you're not gonna be like, oh, I just fed you 20 minutes ago. If that baby's showing hunger cues, either put them on the breast or offer them a little bit more. Because it's important that you meet your baby's needs, and your baby will develop a pattern over time. But at the beginning, whether you are breastfeeding, mostly if you're breastfeeding, you got to get that baby on. Sometimes they do what is called cluster feeding, where they feed and feed and feed, then they'll sleep. Trust your baby, trust your body, and get that baby on. Or if the baby is formula feeding, you're going to feed them when they are hungry. Okay, so some of the things you're going to look for, that would be reasons that you would need to call your pediatrician. If you can't get the baby to eat, if they're not interested in eating and it's been a while and you can't get them to feed, either way, you want the pediatrician to know. Also, a fever. So it's a good idea that you get comfortable taking your baby's temperature. You can take your baby's temperature using one of those scanner things, but that's really a screening. A true body temperature, you want to get comfortable using a rectal thermometer, because if you do this on the head and you get over 100, your pediatrician is going to want a rectal temperature. So it's a good idea to kind of get comfortable with that. Also, you want to watch that your baby isn't becoming more yellowed or jaundiced. Sometimes babies are inclined to become a little yellow in the skin. And if that starts to happen and it looks like it's getting a little more yellow, absolutely, you're going to call your pediatrician. If you can't get your baby to eat, if they're very sleepy, or if you can't calm them down and you've tried all those different things that we went over, that would be a reason to definitely call your pediatrician. So no wet diaper for 12 hours, no poop for 2 days. You got to call the pediatrician. Okay. If there's an uncommon rash, very often babies have blotchy skin. That's normal, normal newborn rash. But if you saw something that had a pattern on it, or if it had a scab, or something that you were concerned, call the pediatrician. I want you to notice on the bottom, if at any time your baby's having trouble breathing, we're not going to wait, we're going to call 911. That's going to be a reason that we don't wait if your baby's having any kind of breathing issues. Okay. All right, now we're going to talk about a little bit about mom and parents. So after you've given birth, you give birth to your baby, and then you deliver the placenta. Now you are in what's known as the postpartum period, and this lasts about 4 to 6 weeks. During this initial postpartum period, it's so important that you take care of yourself. You've just given birth. It's not all about the baby, it's about you too. I cannot overemphasize how important it is for you to be taking care of you, both parents, the birth parent and the partner, that you are taking care of each other. It's important that you're staying hydrated, that you are drinking when you need to drink, that you're eating good food. This is the time to accept help from family and friends. This is not the time to entertain. Anybody who's coming over should be bringing a meal and taking back a load of laundry. This is not the time that they should be coming over and you should are cooking for people. No, you have to be taking care of yourself during this time. It's very, very, very important. As for the birth mother during this time, you may experience cramping. This is not unusual at all. Whether you've had a vaginal delivery or a C-section, you're still going to bleed in those 3 to 4 weeks after delivery. That's normal. If you do decide to breastfeed, you may notice you have extra cramping during this time, and that is because your body is producing that oxytocin, the same thing that makes you cramp, to shrink down your uterus and to stop bleeding. You can take it if you're able to. It's a good idea to take ibuprofen if you can, or Tylenol. It's a good idea to pee if you have to during this time, so that you don't have extra cramping. An empty bladder, you will feel better. Some of the things you want to have for yourself when you're home, make sure you have lots of pads you will need. Like I said, you could bleed for that 3 to 4 weeks. Comfy underwear, disposable underwear, breast pads are a good idea. Whether you're breastfeeding or not, your milk will come in, and you don't want to have any chafing, so it's a good idea to have comfortable cotton pads. If you are deciding to breastfeed, a nursing bra is really a good idea. If you think you want a pumping bra. It's important that you do not use any bra that has any kind of underwire. Underwire can cause, for both breastfeeding and not breastfeeding, it can cause like some clogs, and you don't want to do that. You want to avoid that. So a nice sports bra, if you're planning not to breastfeed, is a good idea. A good water bottle, everybody seems to have them, but it's still something I want to mention. Nice comfy PJs for you to feed the baby at night. Also a stool softener, especially if you've had a C-section. Sometimes you may not have, your bowel movements may not be that regular. And if you've had a vaginal delivery, you don't want to really be pushing. So it's a good idea to have a stool softener and some over-the-counter medications, either Advil or Tylenol. Both are good to have on board. So definitely make sure you have that in your medicine cabinet. One thing I really want to emphasize is mental health matters. So we all know it's so happy to have a baby. It's a wonderful time in your life. Um, it's a time of major changes in your life. Some women, especially women who may be type A or women who are used to doing everything so perfectly, may feel during this time some sadness or anxiety. These can be brought on by exhaustion and absolutely by hormones. So, about 70 to 80% of women are going to experience what we call baby blues. Baby blues last a couple weeks, and they are like PMS on steroids. It's PMS only even more so. So you may feel like weepy or irritable, maybe you can't concentrate, a little restless, sometimes even sadness, anxiety, and you may feel these things all at the same time. It's a major life change. And many women who have given birth will feel this, as will partners. Very often, if a woman's feeling like this, very often a partner may feel that way too. Now, I want you to see this. This is so important in this right-hand box. The postpartum hormone crash is the single largest hormonal change in the shortest amount of time for any human being at any point in a life cycle. It is not in your head, okay? You have all these happy hormones and then you give birth, all right? So it's not unusual that at this time you may feel this. You may feel the baby blues, weepy, overwhelmed, totally, totally common, and don't feel you've done anything wrong. It's physical. Now, if this persists, if it's like not getting better and it's kind of going a little longer than 2 weeks, it's a good idea to reach out for help. And sometimes it's not even the birth mother who notices it. It may be the partner who's like, oh, I thought that, you'd be feeling a little better by now. There are so many resources. You do not have to feel like you are alone. You are not alone. There's help, and you don't have to feel like you've done anything wrong.
I think the biggest myth, the biggest falsehood about motherhood after you have a baby is the postpartum piece. Nobody talks about it.
When this baby came around, I was hit by a bus.
I noticed I was really irritable. I felt down. I was angry. I would lash out. There were a few nights where I really didn't have a wink.
It affected my relationship with my kids. It affected my relationship with my spouse. And it affected the way I interacted with my parents because I didn't want them to see what was happening.
Talking about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, any perinatal mental illness is extremely, extremely important.
I think it's more common than we think it is, for sure.
Do not be fooled to think that it's just an individualized issue. It affects the entire family.
So this organization, Postpartum Support International, is wonderful. They are,
I think the biggest
I'm sorry, they are free. It's on the next page. I'll get to it. I really think it's a great resource. In addition, Thrive, I cannot tell you how wonderful it is. When you have a new baby and you're looking to connect with other people who are in exactly the same space you're in, Thrive is fantastic. They have so many resources and places for you to go. They even like they'll have a mom's, for instance, their mom's walking group, and you can take a brand new baby and you can go for a walk with them and other moms, and you could talk about things that are going on in your life, and it really definitely is a wonderful resource. In addition, there's other parent groups. You can meet with your lactation consultant. You can definitely find a network and a community. This is PSI. That's the phone number there. They are free. They have extensive training to become a PSI, a Postpartum Support International support person. They have help for not only birth mothers, there's help for the partners, there's help for even for other family members. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. So if you feel like, oh man, I don't know if this is if this is expected, first of all, you are not alone. That's why there's a whole organization, and there is help. You don't have to feel like this. You do not have to feel like this. So definitely hold on to PSI. Always remember, you know your baby better than anybody else. Bonding skin to skin is so important. You can do that in the first month or whenever when you bring your baby home. Partners can do it. Talking to your baby, singing. You will learn and bond with your baby. Again, these are Valley support groups. We have a warm line. We also have a breastfeeding support group that meets in person every Thursday. We have an app that I'll show you in the next page. This other organization, this other resource, the Baby Academy, if you want to take a picture of that, that is mostly covered by insurance. It's an online teaching classes. We also have classes at Valley, that same place where you contact this. You can come to in-person classes if you're interested. And this is the app we have, Bump to Baby app, free, great app that helps you to understand how your baby is developing. And we have coming up another virtual session on supporting your pregnant partner. And that's going to be on Wednesday, December 17th. And just remember, you got this. It goes fast. Parenthood, it's constantly changing. Nobody's perfect. Just trying always to do better is the best thing you can do. And your baby only needs you guys. You're the world to your baby. They don't need other things, and they don't think you're doing it wrong. So you're always doing the right thing. So I thank you so much for coming. I don't know if we have questions.
Thank you, Donna. That was great. We do have a few questions here. So the first one is for sleeping. Can you put a waterproof mattress protector under the fitted sheet?
It's not really necessary to put that under there, and if it's actually thick, it can actually be hazardous. You really do not want to use the waterproof sheet.
The next question is for car seat safety. Can a child wear a jacket, or do they have to just be in their clothes? I think you had mentioned that
Yeah, you
before.
don't. It's called the deception of fluff. So if you definitely do not want anything heavier than just a thin sleeper, a thin fleece sleeper. Anything heavier, no, you're going to save that for the stroller. It's important that they are in as tight as possible, and anything thicker, actually, they can move around even though it looks like they can't. So definitely you do not want anything thicker than a fleece.
All right, the next question, when you go to car seat inspection sites, do they install the car seat for you, or do you have to go with it installed and then they inspect it?
No, they'll put it in. You can bring it there and they will put it in. That's why it's really a great resource to take advantage of.
That's great. Okay, and one more. When is the earliest you could schedule for a lactation consult?
So you can schedule if you really want to breastfeed. We schedule them at the hospital. If it's something you want to do, you can call even before. If you know you're having a C-section and you want to see lactation, we don't typically recommend that because you will be seen in the hospital. So especially if you're at Valley, you'll be seen. If you're not delivering at Valley and you're not sure, you can make the appointment early if you prefer. If you have questions before time, you definitely can. You can even call us and we'll talk to you about it and tell you about when to schedule. Usually we do schedule about 3 days after discharge.
Alrighty, great. Someone just did ask if this session is recorded, and it will be. And at this time, I'd just like to remind everybody to take a few minutes to fill out the survey using the link that will be emailed to you shortly after the completion of this presentation. Again, thank you, Donna. That was a great informative presentation. And I hope everybody has a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. That was great.